years now. And what we do is we help you guys get a structured path on what you need to learn based on the profile that you have when you come into the school. We like to try to get to know you up front and what you're dealing with and things of that nature. And then we can kind of mold your education around where it is you're trying to get. I actually started back in 2008, and I came in on Right to Travel. And that kind of wet my whistle and made me understand that basically everything that the government told me was a lie. And from there, I just continued to build and learn. And eventually I began to master different processes, administrative processes, dealing with court, dealing with CPS, and discharging debt. And from there, I got a word from God. He told me I was being stingy because I wasn't telling anybody all the different things I was doing. I was getting off my bills and, doing all these miraculous things, but I didn't have a group of people or anything to share it with. Everybody I tried to share it with thought I was crazy. And then God told me he wanted me to build a school. And so, of course, I followed his lead, and 8 years later, here I am. So I'm going to turn on my screen share, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit about the school, some different areas that we have, and kind of the way that we're structured to help you get what you need. Okay. I am on an education platform, Microsoft for Education. And when you join, you basically get the entire Microsoft suite. So you'll get a new email if you join annually. You'll get a new email with us. You have access to Teams, which is our meeting software where we do lectures and whatnot. You'll get Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and a whole bunch of other different things that you can use as tools to help you get your understanding under your belt. Okay, so this is the home page for the school. So when you have an account, you'll log into Office and you'll get a screen that's kind of like this. Excuse me, but it won't look this way when you first log in. It'll be pretty empty. The more that you use the system, the more things that it will add for you to view. So there might be some things that it recommends, like it'll recommend things like, if I have a meeting coming up and there's a document that would go with the meeting, it might remind me of that, or some things that I've opened recently. If I need to get back to them quickly, I can do all that from the home screen. We have several different ways to learn in the school. We have some structured courses. We have 3, American National Passport, Accepted for Value, which is discharging debt, and Secured Party Creditor. And those are on a platform that we use called Canvas. And if you look in here, there's different courses. So depending on what you're registered for, your tiles will show here. And I'm just really quickly going to go over what it looks like in one of these courses. They are all built the same. And then we'll move into a different area. Okay, so each one of the courses in Canvas has a home screen that you will drop on, and it'll be structured just like this. It'll have your emblem for the school, the icon for the course you're in. It'll have some quick buttons here. This is for your OneDrive cloud service, which you get a terabyte of cloud service, so you can upload your entire record, whatever you need. You'll be able to get to that from your computer or your phone. Word, here's your email, Outlook, and then this takes you back to the home screen. So it has some quick links in there. If you are enrolled in one of these courses, you will get up to 1 meeting, when you need help specifically about what's going on with that course, those are free as long as you are enrolled in that course. And you just come here and you would book your appointment if you have questions that you need to ask the instructor. And then the main area for your course content is going to be under modules. So what I did is with these courses, they're broken down into like weekly modules. I didn't want to overwhelm people when they're getting in here and they're trying to learn. So we gave you a little bit of structure here that kind of shows you the things that you're going to be going through within each module. And we like to keep you consistent if we can at one module a week. Okay, so if you see here, we've got one on American versus US citizen. We have some certificate of live birth certificate. But by week 4 in this course, this is Secured Party that I'm showing you, you will actually have your UCC financing statement done this week. And we give you a lot of information to go through as a framework. And then we expect you to do your independent research as well, looking into the different codes that are relevant to what you're searching for, what you're learning in that module. And then you'll come back and complete your assignment, turn it in, and it will move you on to the next module. So this will flow you through each week, what you need to understand about Secured Party. And then once a week on Thursdays, this course actually meets on Thursdays. Accepted for Value meets on Fridays, but they are both structured the same way. Okay, so that was just a really quick intro to how those courses are structured. And let me get this out of the way, and I'll show you a different area. Okay, so there's another way to learn in the school is through our infrastructure sites. So we have internal sites inside the school. We even have a news feed. So anytime I'm putting out different videos in the news feed, you guys can get to those here in SharePoint, the homepage for SharePoint. And then whatever sites you are enrolled in, those sites will show up in these tiles. The first site that you will all be in if you enroll is going to be freshman class. And that is like designed to help you understand the system and how to communicate back and forth with me, Miss Traci, the other instructors, and even the other students. So it's kind of like your onboarding process. And then the next stage that you'll go into is a site called Student Services. So I'll show you freshman class sites. You guys can kind of see how these sites are structured. Okay, so this is the home page for freshman class. So this is literally after you get your user activated, this would be the first place that you land in the school. Okay, now this is a tracker that will keep track of all the tasks that you need to complete in freshman class. And each one of these, when you start, will be an X. And then as you move through them, they'll turn into a green check mark. You have to hit all of these benchmarks in order to move you into the second site. Okay, so it's going to show you, how to make sure you are reinforced on how you're logging in every time, your email, your first upload, your first Word document. And we do this to make sure that you guys, the system is really big, and we want to make sure that you're not getting confused and where to go and how to do what. So we show you all those things in the beginning. And then we'll move you into the second site, which is called Student Services. And that site is basically, it's designed to help you establish your profiles. So we're going to go through, we're going to gather your information, your personal information. Then we're going to move to talking about your credit. Then we'll move into IRS issues, and then we'll move into utilities. By time we get the information back from you guys about those first four stages of your profile, we're kind of starting to get to know you. Okay. So student services is where you want to pay attention to detail. You want to try to communicate everything you can about the given situation as possible up front, because this information tends to go around to other faculty members so they can look at your situation and see if they have curriculum in one of their sites that will help you on your journey. So you'll basically will start your student profile. You'll go through each stage. Usually there's a video that kind of shows you what to expect. And you'll go through each step. And once you get to the end, there is an area where you will book a consultation with me so we can do your one-on-one intake. And then once you do your intake, we will place you in whichever course best suits you, depending on the conversation that we have with you. So we aren't just a school, you know, a learning institution. We counsel you guys too. Sometimes we offer mentorship through the different instructor sites or one of my sites. There, you may have the ability to set up consultations with them, order different documents, maybe even order different courselets, we kind of call them, which is like smaller information bits that you can kind of go through as they're needed. And then you guys, one other main part that we use quite a bit, and it is called Stream. And Stream is kind of like our YouTube. And so what we have you do is a lot of the communication that you do, you can do through Stream, as far as if you need to let us know what your situation is, situation updates, what you've learned that week, your journal entries and things of that nature can be recorded here within this software, or it can be recorded in Microsoft Teams, which is our meeting platform. But any content that you put together, you can see here, and then you can choose what you share with the school, what you share with the instructors, or maybe one of the classes that you're in. You'll have the option to set your share standards to make sure that your videos aren't getting anywhere that you don't want them. Okay. We also have a social media platform that I like to drop a lot of videos on. And it's really neat. It's kind of like Facebook. I mainly use it to like drop videos on different community sites. We have one that goes to everybody that's in the school. We have a couple other ones, like we have one for, let me see, like know your rights. So like maybe auditors or dealing with bad cops or bad judges, or, you know, just videos of different things that you, that can help you catch on a little faster. We have Off the Grid. That one has like tiny homes and barn dominiums and how to buy land and planting food and aquaponics and solar. All of those type of things are on that site. And then we have some other ones that are private and internal through to just school members. But some of these sites can be, you know, shared with external people as well. And you also get your own storyline. So you can build your storyline. You can make journal entries there and share it with everybody in the school and even some external people if you wish. So you can kind of let people see what you're doing in the school and what you're learning, even your mistakes that you've made or things that you've been successful at. We have you use the recording features in the school to bring all this information into like a little profile for you here, and you can share your experiences on your storyline as well. Okay, so there is so many other things in the school. I don't want to just, you know, keep showing you guys and showing you guys all of these things because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But you know, you guys can ask me some questions about this stuff first and foremost, and then after that we can move into some questions that you guys have about maybe your particular situation. or, something that you've been considering doing. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic back to Miss Traci, and we can continue from there.
Okay, and so I don't see any, okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. So does anybody have any questions right now? As far as what your situation is, or what are you trying to achieve? Does anybody have any questions? And you'll have to take yourself off mute.
Don't be scared, guys. I don't bite. Remedy comes out of me like,
like flowing water, yeah.
It's like flowing water. That's the first thing I was going to say. But yeah, like air. So if you have, particular situation, maybe you guys tried some processes and they didn't work, or you're in the middle of something right now, this is the time to kind of ask me the questions that you need answers to, so I can kind of show you guys how I work.
And why don't you explain to them the importance of secured party? And the only reason why I'm saying that is because I didn't know before. And I do know, like, one of the things, especially speaking with Dave McDowell, one of the things that I learned was that how do you say it? Well, I know that the very first trust is secured party. Like that's how you own your own trust, And so why don't you explain like the very basics of secured party? And then I do have a question from somebody on here. Okay. You're on mute, Lady B.
Oh, I guess that would help me coming off mute.
Yes.
Okay, so secure party, yes, Miss Traci is right. There's a lot of processes that have been thrown around out on the internet definitely since COVID, that are, telling people, oh, all you have to do is this, and all you have to do is that, and oh, just make a trust and put everything in it and learn how to finance it and all these things, right? But it kind of works against you if you're jumping out there into a trust and you don't have the original trust. Okay, so the original trust, what I mean by that is the trust that's attached to your birth certificate. When you get your birth certificate authenticated, it comes back with full faith and credit of the United States. Okay, so basically that means unlimited credit. And so if you don't lock that down first and deposit it properly into the treasury, you won't be able to fund any other trusts properly. I mean, with this type of funding. Okay. So secure party basically is a series of documents that separate you from your birth certificate, from the actual trust. And there's more than one trust. There's actually two that we take control of, one being your birth certificate and one being your Social Security trust. Okay. And so we basically have a series of contracts between your name and you, the flesh, the person that has hands and feet and can actually do actions, because your birth certificate has no limbs. It really can't sign or drive or work or any of these things that they're saying it does. So the understanding of splitting those two things and then putting a party in control. So everything that belongs to the trusts belongs to the secured party. So therefore, they're executor, executrix, and they can control all the collateral that is attached to that account. I hope I didn't confuse you guys too bad.
So can you give an example of how that was actualized in your life, Lady B?
Oh, wow.
I know you got many.
I know,
But,
I know.
but you know what? You know, one that I thought was so freaking crazy was the fact when you told us that your ex, he was leaving and he got pulled over and he was in court, but you had actually put him on your secured party. You had actually put him down as part of your property, and you was able to go in and do what you did and on a whole nother grown man. And so can you tell that one? Because I find that so compelling.
Yeah, I'll definitely, I'll give you that story. So I had a boyfriend, we broke up. I was learning these things. He said he wanted to learn these things with me, but I could never get him to actually read any of the contracts or gain any kind of understanding. So I told him I was not going to complete his documents until he read them. And he was not responsible to do that. He couldn't do that. But he still wanted to be protected because he had court matters and stuff that were going on, and he was still going to try to learn, but he knew he needed this to keep him protected. So we came up with an agreement that he gave me his strawman. So his name, he gave me his trust. I had full power of attorney over his trust. So like literally this man couldn't even open a bank account without me. And if he did, I could come and take every penny out of it and shut it down or maneuver funds or add more accounts or whatever I needed to do because I had full control over his name's matters. So we really didn't do anything with it. We put it in the record, but we really didn't make any moves on it or anything like that. But when we broke up, I explained to him, you can't straddle the fence in this. If you want to be free, you need to move that way. If you're going to go back into commerce, you need to move that way. But you can't be in the middle. It's a dangerous place to be. And now that my trust no longer is covering you, your flesh, right? You're going to have to work that out with them. Basically, one day after he broke up with me, he had his new girlfriend's car with his new girlfriend in it. He was driving and his mom was in the car. He's coming up the road. It's nighttime. He has his high beams on because it's in an area that doesn't have street lights. And he gets pulled over by the police. They never come to his window. They actually did a felony traffic stop on him. So they pulled him out with guns drawn, wanted him to get out on the ground and kneel and put your hands and all these things they were trying to get him to do. And when he wasn't moving fast enough for them, they started shooting things at him like pepper balls, bean bags. And when that just made him more angry, they began to sick the dog on him. So they're going back and forth, and the dog trainer's telling the dog to bite him in his groin. That's the command he was given because that's the only place that the dog was trying to bite him. And he goes through all this drama, and I'm talking boot prints all over his back. They broke his orbital socket. They beat him really bad. They never asked him for license and registration. They took him to jail. And the only phone number he could remember was mine. He couldn't even remember his mom's phone number. So he calls me. He tells me what happens, and he asks me, is there anything I can do? And so when he ended up getting bailed out, I was like, okay, you've got to get this information. We're going to go ahead and put this information in the record, and we're going to make sure that they see that I have power of attorney over you. So we get his documents and things together, and he goes to record them at the recorder's office, and they're denying him the recording. Now, they'll do that a lot in different counties all over the country. They'll tell you, oh, well, we'll take a photocopy of this. We have to send it to the attorney, and he'll tell us if we can record it or not. That's not the law. So they'll fight you back and forth on that kind of stuff. So I let him, fight it a little bit. And I asked him, do they have a copy? He said, yeah, they have a copy. He said, I told the lady that I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna come back with the law that says that you have to record these documents. And then he said, he's gonna go to the bathroom while I looked it up. When he comes out of the bathroom, he had a meeting scheduled with this attorney for later on that day. That's why we're trying to get the documents into the record. And the attorney calls him and says, oh, man, I have this really important meeting that like I was not expecting to have to do today. I'm gonna have to push your time back. But I'll call you back when I'm finished to let you know, when we can meet. And he says to him, is it about me? And his attorney assures him, no, it's not about you. It's not about you. I'll get back in touch. So he's like, okay. So he goes back into the recorder's office. I armed him with the law to show her that she has to record the documents. They bring a supervisor out. The supervisor takes his documents and photocopies them a second time. And then they're still like, no, they can't put it in. They can't put it in. So what they do when they photocopy your documents like that is they send it to the legal department. And then the legal department will tell them whether or not they can put it in and try to trick you into not finishing your recording. So he goes in there, he battles a little bit longer with the law. The lady doesn't listen. I asked him, I said, well, they have a copy of it, right? He said, yeah, right now they have 2 copies. I said, okay, just throw your hand, whatever, and just leave. So he says, okay, and he does that. So his attorney calls him back maybe 30 minutes to an hour later. He calls him back and he says, so man, I just got off this meeting. They want to move to settlement. And he said, wait a minute. He said, I thought you said that meeting was not about me. And the attorney said, oh yeah, like he totally forgot. And he's like, so what are you talking about? They want to move for settlement. He was like, yes, they requested a settlement conference. They want to get this over with. And I'm like, wow, that was really quick. So he goes and talks to his attorney. He doesn't tell his attorney to put anything on the record. That was not the attorney's business. He just kept telling the attorney that when they went to court, that his power of attorney was going to show up. It was a trust matter, so his power of attorney would be there. So I show up, and it's so funny because his attorney was somebody who was my attorney before, and I fired him in open court. So as soon as he saw me, he was just like, oh my God, this is who we've been waiting for? Are you kidding me? This lady, right? And so we go inside to have all the documents on the record. Him and his attorney are arguing in open court because the attorney doesn't want to put the recorded documents into the court record because he sees they're sovereign documents. And he's over there yelling at my ex, I'm not putting this in the record. I'm not losing my bar card for you. That's what he told him. And the judge said, well, fellas, it sounds like you guys are having a problem over there. He said, what's going on? So my ex says, I have these documents that are pertinent to the record. I'm trying to get him to put them into the court case. So you have notice, Your Honor. And the judge was like, he said to him, my attorney, like he's refusing to put them in. He doesn't think they're relevant. So the judge is like, oh, he sends the bailiff over there to go, well, let me see. Sir goes over there, the bailiff takes the paperwork, gives it to the judge. The judge reads the title of every document onto the record, thus adding them to the record. One of them was my power of attorney over his name. I'm sitting in the galley. So the judge said to the attorney, well, I don't know why you would keep this information out of the record. This looks really important. So he like chastised the attorney. So they begin the case, and it's basically they're battling back and forth about how much time my ex is going to have to pay, whether his charges are being upgraded because he injured the police dog, but they considered that assaulting an officer. They were trying to give him like 10 years or something for injuring the dog. right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. So they're trying to go back and forth about how they can settle the matter. And every time, like the first thing that they were arguing over was the jail time. And I made a noise and like a face, like, right? And the judge told him, hey, hold on, fellas. And he looks at me and he says, ma'am, you want to say something? I said, he's not doing no jail time over this. The judge says, he nods his head at me. He looks back at them. He said, you heard her, fellas. That one's off the table. Keep going. When he said that, I was like, oh crap, I'm in control of the court right now. So they're arguing about, oh, they want to give him all these years of probation, and he got to pee in a cup, and he's going to have to pay fines and fees and restitutions and all this nonsense. And every single thing that they put out in verbal that I made a face to or looked at the judge stopped them and said, you have something to say? And I would tell him he's not doing that. He's not doing that. You heard her, fellas. Keep going. What you have left, keep going. So basically, me from the gallery dismissed all of the little things they wanted to put on him. But then they were holding an empty bag, and they're like, how? We can't settle the case if we have an empty bag. So I threw him a bone. So I said to the judge was like, what is he willing to do? I said, he's willing to do maybe 6 months unsupervised probation, which means he wouldn't have to report. The judge looks at him, he said, well, that's what you got, fellas. And that was it.
Mm-hmm. And that
Walked
was
up out of there.
because you, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, we walked up out of there, and he did his little do not report. I think he had to report one time, and they tried to charge him, and I called down there and reminded them sternly that's not the order of the court. And then after that, he just didn't have to report, and the case went away. So all of that was possible because of that power of attorney.
Yeah, that's what I find so crazy, because you had control of the court because you were secured party.
Correct.
Wow. Now,
because he can't even sign his own name. I have his full power of attorney. So if I don't give him notarized permission to sign his name, he's not even allowed to sign his name.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. One question we have in the chat. If you want to get a house, but your credit is low, how can you move from renting to having a home?
There would be a couple of different strategies for that, but one would be just clean up your credit. Clean up your credit, raise your credit score until it can support what you're trying to do. Credit is funny. We have unlimited credit, but they always limit our credit. Right? And there's different strategies. Like, if you used to live in
one second. When you say we have unlimited credit, what do you mean by that?
Unlimited credit through the United States Treasury. Right. Full faith and credit. That's unlimited credit.
And that's what we're entitled to by the birth certificate then?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
Okay.
And so with the birth certificate being on deposit, even if it's not on deposit, if you understand that there is no money, there is only credit and debits, right? Credit and debt, that's it. Money is a figment of our imagination. And so what does that mean when you go get a credit card or a personal loan or an auto loan or a mortgage? That means that you borrow money from your trust to make that transaction happen. So if you apply for a credit card and they deny you that credit, they broke the law, because the law says they cannot deny you the extension of your own credit. But you have to know it's your credit and you have to know that you can do that. And there's ways and documents that can help you along the way. If you get turned down for a credit card offer, send them an adverse credit letter and remind them that you have unlimited credits and that they cannot deny you the extension of your own credit. And guess what? They'll turn that account on. If you do this several times with different credit card companies or whatever, then you're be able to establish a higher line of credit. And then the next phase would be to learn how to use it. But there's several ways. Like if you used to live in the hood, right? And then now you live on the Upper East Side or whatever, right? You done moved on up like the Jeffersons, right? You don't want to leave those old ghetto addresses on your credit report. It's gonna pull your credit score down. People don't know that, right? Also, like if you start like most of your stuff, anything in collections, you could basically validate the debt and get that stuff off. Judgments you can dispute. So if you have a court judgment against you and it shows up on your credit report, well, they're not supposed to do that. What they actually do is they hire somebody to scrub and to pull data out of the counties to find judgments and then put them on your credit report. But you never told them to put that judgment on your credit report, so it's illegal. So you can get those taken off. If you have a horribly low credit score, you can start with getting a secured credit card. Put a little $500 on it, pay it back consistently for 3 months, go to them, ask them to make it unsecured. Most car companies will do that if they see you consistent, right? When you pay for credit cards, stop paying them on the billing date, stop paying them on the payment date, pay them on the statement date, and pay off the full balance that's owed. That way you never catch interest, right? So there's a lot of tricks and tips. You can even get an authorized user account. You could pay, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that and get a 15-year-old Bank of America account with, perfect credit, never late, and you could be added as an authorized user to that account. That means in the cycle, in the 30-day or 28-day cycle that the credit reporting agencies have, once that authorized user is attached to you, you're going to get that account on your credit report. Let's go raise your credit score way up, right? And so you would prepare yourself to do the purchase on the home, raise your credit, clean your credit. There's other techniques that you can do that will help you along the way. And then when your score is high enough for you to qualify for the home that you're looking for, get the loan, and then look into discharge methods. Look into accepting the original deed right after you make the purchase. Look into those type of remedies, and you may only have to pay one payment before everything. You may not have to pay any payments. It just depends. You can A for V coupons if they do send you coupons. Send them right on into the IRS. You know what I mean? And take care of the entire amount, or make it a monthly reoccurring debt, annual reoccurring debt, but there are methods. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and the situation that you're in, and then plus the laws to support for your individual state.
Okay. Next question. Do you teach how to offset a revolving account with payment coupon or even a mortgage? I've endorsed so many coupons, but no success. So many adverse actions with no success. It seems that all roads lead to court.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna say yes, we do. A for V, like I said, is our discharge program. Okay, so it's like banking 101 meets credit 101, right? So if you were to process an A for V, it's not just about the coupon. You have to process it properly. You have to give people instructions and text forms and send this over here to and CC people and then send that part over there and with tax forms and instructions so they know what they have to do in order to get these credits from the IRS. Like it's a whole method. It's not just, oh, except for values, sign the coupon, flip it over, blah, blah, blah. No, you have to actually have a process that like meets the requirements of law and lets everybody understand what they're supposed to do. We've done our very first mortgage, they A for V their mortgage. And I remember the day that they called me and said, well, Lady B, we just did our latest printout of the credit report and we don't understand what happened. And I said, okay, send it to me so I can see it. And so we're on the call and I look at it and I jump up and I start doing my happy dance. I'm like, hey, and they're like, what? I'm like, why are y'all not celebrating? You don't read it out loud to me. And the husband looked at it and he said, 360 mortgage account paid as agreed. And I said, hey, I'm doing a little happy dance. And they're sitting there and they're like, that was it? I'm like, that was it. Do you print out that proof? It's going to move to the next stage. So now we're going to battle. After the discharge, it was the battle for the title. But I had a method to the madness. And I gave them a particular I came up with that secures 3 things to get the house free and clear. The house was so free and clear that the charge off actually started a foreclosure on the house. But by the time they sold the house back to themselves, right, and went for possession, there was nothing left for them to get. They were holding an empty bag because we moved the house into the private and we leaned up the name that the house was in with a lien that cannot be removed by any United States judge. It can only be removed by military judge, and they're not going to remove it unless you're satisfied. So once again, depending on your individual case, what you're going through, what you've tried, most people, whoever sells the coupon processes out there, man, they're just making a mess of stuff because they completely miss what's going on. It's a public-private transaction. It's a split transaction. Half of your stuff goes into the private, meaning IRS and Treasury, and the other half, the notice of what you've already done, that's what goes to the CFO. That's what goes to the company. But if you're just sending remittances to the company, you're not a secured party, your instrument's not registered, it's most likely not negotiated properly, and you didn't give them any instructions. So what are they going to do? They're going to consider it a gift. They're going to take it. They're not going to balance your books because they know you don't know what you're doing. Does that answer your question? And y'all, please unmute. I like to talk to people.
I don't know why everybody just muted. Let me see what this next thing say.
Everybody all quiet and stuff.
Oh, Carmine said absolutely. Yeah, so that's who was doing the coupon processes. By the way, so A for V, which is accepted for value, and discharge, they just work hand in hand, right?
They're the same thing. Like when it comes to discharge, my first successful discharge, I did 3 things. 2 out of the 3 went through immediately, but I didn't have enough information to get the third one to work. And that's when I did a little adjustment to the process that I was learning. Through the grace of God, God showed me, oh, go in creditors and their bonds and grab this and do this and put this here in tax forms and blah, blah, blah. Right. So I followed his lead, because originally when all three A4Vs went out, two of them dropped right away. It was a cable bill, and my first payment was due for a brand new car insurance policy. So I just discharged both of those. And the other one was a water bill. And I was having an issue because there was a main crack and they were trying to get me to pay for it. So my bill was like $800. And I'm like, how many swimming pools do you think I have in my backyard? Because I don't have any, right? Like, there's no reason for my water bill to be that high. And so I put it in dispute, and then I did the A4V on it. So the first time, which wasn't the perfected process, they got it and they called me and they asked me to come downtown to their office. And I was very reluctant, but I did go down there because of the way they were talking to me over the phone. It was like in code, right? And so I get down to their office and they're still talking to me in code. They're like, so we have your inquiry. We have your inquiry and we want it. We want what's in it, but we don't know how to get it out. We need you to help us get it. And I'm saying, what kind of coded language are you guys talking to me? Right? And I realized during that meeting that I didn't have enough information to have moved forward, but it was the stress of my situation that had me moving too quickly. So I had to go back and correct. So I went back and I corrected and I added things. I split the process and I sent half of it to the IRS, and I sent the other half, the copies of what I sent to the IRS, I sent to the corporation under registered mail. And the second time when they got that one, no joke, they honestly sent a meter maid to my house in the off hours of the morning to remove my water meter. They replaced it with a ball valve, put a little lock on it, it locked it in the open position, covered it with dirt, and threw the keys in the corner. And they never billed me again. So if you consume, and I mean like consume the information that's in the A4V course, and you meet with me and you have the conversations about A4V, I haven't had anybody that completed A4V not get their discharge. It's about how bad do you want it, because A4V will change your life. You can
can you explain to them what Treasury pass-through is? Because I had never heard of that till you let me know that you and some of the students have actually done that, achieved Treasury pass-through.
Right, a Treasury pass-through is what I created with that water bill. On negotiable instruments, there's such a thing called a memo line. What do people put on the memo line? Right, what is a memo line for? It's for a little extra information about the account. You might say, you know, you're writing a check for your mortgage. In the memo line, you might put this check is going to the principal only. Right, it restricts the instrument. It gives an instruction saying whatever the restriction is, right? In my case, I did a reoccurring debt. It was going to come every month, right? So I put it on the memo line, monthly reoccurring debt. Right, and that's why when they got it the second time and it had their tax forms and the instructions, then they had something that they could take to their accountant, and that they could, you know what I mean, take to their banker and say, here's the instructions to process. We have to do this. We have to endorse it. We have to get the tax forms. We need the 1099s. We need all of these things, you know, but she gave us the permission to be able to do this with a fiduciary appointment. Now they can communicate with my tax agent but my tax agent, well, I have three of them. One of them is the commissioner of the IRS. One of them is the commissioner of the United States uh, Treasury, and then the United States Treasury in Puerto Rico. So I have three tax agents that is at the top of finance. I give them the authority to cover anything that I missed in my process, but I gave them instructions. I told them who the credit was going to, how much the credit was. I gave them proper tax forms. I gave them a blank money order to pay their fees because it's $300 for private use. So if you use an instrument, if you use your bill as the payment, you have to add $300 to it because that's the IRS's fee, right? So if you don't add that $300 to each instrument, I was like, whoop, they sent me a money order anyway. I just did the IRS money order and I signed it and endorsed it and I left the amount blank. I really don't care how much I owe them in taxes, but I bet you they could clear all my tax debt with a blank check out of my trust. They did just that. Public servants have to have instructions, you guys. If you don't give them instructions, they're not gonna pick the cotton. They're not gonna shoot the mule.
Mhm. So basically, because years ago I would hear about there's a way, that you can do debt discharge. I had never heard the term A for V. I just only heard debt discharge. But I was hearing certain circles talk about having their bills paid, every month for the rest of their life and stuff like that. And now it wasn't until you had explained treasury pass through, and then some of the students who actually are applying that and living it, I was like, well, okay, so that's a real thing. The
Yes, it is.
government can be your friend. The IRS
Yeah,
can be your friend. They're supposed to be public service anyhow, so.
right. And believe me, they are my friend because if somebody messes up with me, I'm going to do a 3949A or 211 whistleblower form, and I'm gonna turn them in so they can get their little audit. We go pick, had IRS go pick right through their fraud, right? Because the IRS do not care if you owe it. If they say you owe them money, you owe them money, and you don't give it to them, they come to get you, right? And you know what? The IRS does not take cash. Did you know that? You cannot pay your tax bill in cash at the IRS. But you know what they do take? Bills of exchange.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, come on now. Y'all got to unmute. Don't have me up here falling asleep on y'all. What
Yeah,
other kind of stuff you guys
I
want
know
to know about?
this is the quietest it's ever been.
I know.
It's never been this, usually I'm having to cut people off and we're on for hours. But yeah, like what do you guys want to know? Stacy, you're
I
on
have a
now.
question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you wonderful with that Upper East accent you got there.
Okay. My family we are all sitting here listening. So the question is the Bloomberg terminal. I was watching a video from earlier today from I think last week's Q&A, and you
Mhm.
mentioned the lady who does like the audit on steroids or something, Bloomberg terminal and stuff. So we had more questions. Yeah, the security audit. We had more questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's talking about title tracks.
Yes, ma'am. Title tracks. Yeah, I have a friend that gets access to Bloomberg terminal. She can track your securities. She can track which trust actually, which Delaware trust actually holds your note. That way she can prove that the note and the mortgage were separated, thus voiding both. And she also has direct access, terminal access into every bank in the country. So she literally can track your securities from start to finish, and then bring back a
Now,
report that'll just shut down a foreclosure situation, definitely.
I know, and she already found out so much for one of our students, for Monica. I mean, it's eye-opening.
Yep.
now, is that only on titles for houses, or is that on any type of security, like credit card security, securities for credit cards, or?
Well, because she has access to the Bloomberg terminal, that's something that she could get done. It's going to be a charge for it though, and I have no idea what that is at this time. But we also have a private banker in the school, and he has a Series 7 and Series 63 license, and a lot of friends that are still in the stock market. So there's a possibility that some securities can be researched through the banker as well.
Okay, so if we were to choose not choose to go down the path with the female, we would set that up through you to get in touch with her through the
Yeah,
school, correct?
yeah, she gives my students a discounted rate for her service. So yeah, we'll schedule everything, gather your information, so you'll fill out the application and whatnot. And then just allow her time to put everything together. And then she also offers, like, if you were dealing with the mortgage, like, she's so thorough that she can be what do you call it? An expert witness in your foreclosure matter. So she can actually come
Okay,
to court and like explain everything and ask them all the stuff that they cannot answer about it.
okay,
So
okay, yeah. Well, we don't have that issue right now, but we do have my husband, I do know, wants to set up a meeting with the banker to ask about some things that he's been learning lately. So as soon as possible. So I'll have to get in touch with you during the daytime to see if we can schedule that.
yep, and I'll have Miss Tracy reach out and give him the heads up. I know he recently had surgery, so I'm not sure if he's back on the saddle, so to speak. But Miss Tracy is in direct communication with him. So if there's somebody that needs a consultation, she has access to the links and everything that you would need to set that up.
Okay, that sounds great. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, and we do have another question in the chats. Okay. What is a bill of exchange?
Okay, so if I say the word bill, what is a bill? Right? It's something that you get every 28 days. They send you and they tell you to what? Tear off the bottom, sign it, tear off the bottom, and send it back with your payment. Right? That's a bill, a billing statement, a bill of exchange. There's some people that have had luck depositing them even into their bank account and drawing out the money to go pay the bill. It just depends on the knowledge that you have and the way that you are going to use your trust. Right? You have to come up with the different ways that you're going to handle business as you move through this information, as you're learning it, and then create a structure for your trust on how you deal with individual things. Right? You don't want to A for V or do the coupon method, whatever they call it now, the remittance, right? You don't want to do that on everything at one time. Oh my Lord. That's like, because if more than one thing goes to a court matter, you're gonna have a really hard time addressing it. So you have to address these things strategically. You might say, oh, well, I'm not really sure, it didn't work for me before, so I'll just do my cell phone bill, or I'll just do my electric bill, right? Like pick, or I'll discharge my student loans, right? Pick one thing and get the method under your belt. And then you go back and strategically hit the light bill, gas bill, water bill, boom. Get them out the way, hit the car note and the mortgage, if you can handle both of them at the same time, because they will create title issues. The big things create title issues. The little things create a charge off on your credit report. And then we teach you how to deal with the charge off and get the debt, the debt buyer off of your credit report. And next thing you know, your credit score goes right back up. Start getting a whole bunch more credit card offers, personal loan offers. And like I said in the beginning of the call, that's when you take them all, fill them out, and every single one that they deny you on, you send them an adverse credit letter. And then I'll turn that account on. Right? So it's gotta be a game plan. What you learn has to match up with the future that you want. Yep, it's got to match up with the future that you want. We have students in here that's like, I want a chicken farm, right? We have people that's like, oh, I'm live totally off the grid, right? We have some that's like, oh, I'm coming right back in under this business entity, and we're gonna drop down funds from the treasury account to fund the foundation that fund the business. The woo woo, the woo woo. It really depends on what your goal is. But we definitely have curated resources here, so you're not just all over the internet spinning your wheels, but we'll actually show, like, the thing I love about the banker and even Dave is when they go straight to the law. They'll give you a law, have you look it up, and they'll have you go to it, and they'll have you read it. And if you didn't catch it, you're gonna have to read it again. If you didn't catch it, then you're gonna read it again, and then y'all can have a conversation about what you don't understand. Right? So it's a process. You're not gonna come in here and blow through anything in 90 days, 6 months even. No, you'll just be really just getting your feet wet at about 6 months. Where it's like God throws something at you and now it hit you in the face, and now you gotta take care of it right now. Right? So the remedies, like, we had a student, everything was good with her when she started. The next thing you know, they started coming after her property. She's trying to finish Secured Party. They coming after her property. She is like, wait a minute. She's trying to figure out what to do. She comes, she gets a consultation. And what we do, like, our focus is to keep the monkey off your back. There's always something that's stressing you out to the point where you get stagnant. You can't move forward. Right? And once you finally do start taking steps, you're going to have battles. This stuff is not easy. Right? If you can't speak, you're afraid to speak, or you're shy when it's time to speak, you got to get over that. We're going to have you making videos up in here, because we need to know that when you're talking to a public official, you can sound intelligent and you know what you're talking about. Right? We need you to be able to write in different ways, essays, both styles of essays. One that has your sources that you've researched and stuff, all listed at the bottom, or all listed on the final page, or whatever the case may be. You're gonna need to learn how to do an affidavit. You're gonna need to learn how to do bills of exchange. You're gonna learn how to do acceptances, claims, counterclaims. These are all different writing styles, right? And so this is crock pot. This is not instant pot. This is going to take time. But the more effort you put into it, the better result you'll get. Because there's a lot of people that said that they want it and they're quitters. Right? And so you have to already have it established in your mind that this is the way you're going and you're not going to turn back. It's dangerous when you turn back. You heard what happened to my ex. It's dangerous like that. So when you start this journey, understand that there's no going back. It's not like the guy in the Matrix who's like, I know that this steak is not real, right? Because he's used to unplugging from the Matrix and then plugging back in, and he likes it better in the Matrix than he likes it out. Right? There's some people that come in here and find out, well, maybe I want to plug back in, but that's, you got to be careful. So, I give you all aspects, the good, the bad, the ugly. I got stories where I've been beat up, my house taken, my car's taken, give them back, take them again, take my kids, take this next house. It's a battle. It's just that I hit a lot of potholes. I hit enough potholes on the way to my success that I could tell you which roads to go down, the smooth path roads. Don't go down the ones that got all these speed bumps and potholes, right? So it's like my journey allows me to help other people miss all the pitfalls that I ran right into. And then my successes are just amazing. And I know that, yours will be too. You know what I mean? It's just about getting in here, getting in the content. We have students meet. We ask for everybody to meet at least twice a month with me or with one of the other instructors for updates and to get time for you to request for resources. We send out resource packs all the time for students that are like, oh, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm gonna be looking into mortgages, and I send them stuff on mortgages, on discharging mortgages, on land contracts, on land patents, you know what I mean? And let them consume that. And then in 2 weeks, they come back and say, hey, Lady B, I was looking at thus and so, and this is so, can you give me more information about that part? That way we can get your information curated for what you're trying to do.
Okay, Stacy says she has another question. Go ahead, Stacy.
She on mute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Stacy's husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, it's the husband. What are the best ways to contract with a credit card denial? We've been doing a lot of studying UCC 9, and in order to establish, in order for the secured party to establish any kind of anything, we need to contract with them. So we need to have an attachment somehow. So
The attachment is your secure party filing, because everything that belongs to the straw man belongs to the secure party. So you make your straw man work for you. It's his job to fund your life.
okay, so as long as we file the UCC 1 to the credit or for the credit card company, we're attached at that point.
There's a section in secure party that is called real estate. So
Okay.
in that area, what would you put in that area of your UCC? It's on your UCC 1AD, the addendum. So what would you put in real estate?
I would put the if you want to call it promissory note or the agreement, I think.
Real estate is your securities.
Yes.
So your bank account account number, your credit
Okay.
card number, your social security card, social security number, QSIP number, your
Okay.
mortgage account number, your driver's license number, your, I don't know, what else did you give them that had your social and signature attached? Ooh, that's a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what real estate is. It's not
Oh,
just,
so wait,
Okay.
so let me ask a question right quick on this. So when you add your children to your secure party as your property, what you're adding is their social security numbers, right?
yes, you would add their socials and the social QSIPs and the names that are used to your real estate, but on your property list, you would also list them. So the property list and the real estate, they're kind of confusing. That's why we built them in like different sections. Because a lot of the things that go in your real estate will have a place on that property list. But that property list has been designed to already contain everything that you own right now, or everything or anything that you may own in the future. It's already on there, right? You just need to add in things like your driver's license number, your kids' social security numbers, their EINs, their birth date, things that identify them. You know what I mean? You might have your VIN numbers for your cars on there under a certain section. You might have all the serial numbers from your electronics in your house, right? I mean, even marijuana is covered on that UCC, literally, literally.
And y'all might think I was crazy for asking that about the kids, but our kids do belong to us. They are our DNA, they are our property. And they took Lady B kids from her before trying to do all this crazy stuff to her. And because she had them, and because she is secured party and had them as her property, they had to give her kids back.
Yep, they sure did. They gave them back so fast the FBI showed up asking, did she threaten the judge? Is she a Moor? She a sovereign citizen, right? How did she get her kids back? Because they couldn't see it. The FBI could not see how I got my kids back. They had to come ask questions to my mama. They ain't never asked them to my face, because I sent them my notice and demand and told them how much I charge. And then they never approached me again face to face.
Okay, so in the UCC where it says that they have to agree to us being attached to that account, is that true, or how does that?
They don't have to agree to anything. All they have to do is shut up and acquiesce.
Oh wow. So I'm doing a lot of reading for nothing.
Yeah, all you have to do is take them to a default. When I first started Right to Travel, my private tag was a vanity tag with Sharpie marker numbers and stuff written on it. Took a picture of the card, took a picture of my tag, put in my affidavit of free man's right to travel, put it in the record for 30 days. When that 30 days was up, nobody answered me back. I took off my temporary tag, I put on that Sharpie marker tag, and got on down the road. And for 2 years, I had a police escort. Every time I left the house, I get 2 blocks away, and here come the police trying to hide my tag, trying to make me drive fast, so can't nobody else see what I'm doing.
Okay, we have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a situation where we own or financed a piece of land 5 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, we wanted to pay the land off in full. 2 weeks later, we had an email conversation with the owner, financier. He died 2 weeks later.
Oh,
So it's been 2 years, and the kids are alcoholics and drug addicts, and they're kind of all separated. They don't talk to each other. Um,
mhm.
Only one of them is in contact with us. We Facebook messaged one of them. She said she don't want nothing to do with it. Leave it to
Ooh.
Amy. So the Amy girl is the one we've been contacting, and she keeps putting us off. She hasn't done probate yet. So at this point, we have all this evidence from the financier and the one daughter saying she don't want nothing to do with it, and then this daughter here putting us off and putting us off. Well, we've had enough. It's been 2 years that we ain't been able to pay off our house and sell it. So I want to put a lien on the estate and sue for damages. Is there an easy way to do that?
You can lien up the estate and then push it into a Liz pendants and take the house and do whatever you want to with the house.
Okay, is there any way to get damages from basically holding us in prison here against our will
You
for
could
2
do a
years?
maritime lien and you can charge them for every time you had to take out the trash, every time you had to pay the light bill, every time you had to cut the grass, had to trim the trees, had to do whatever you had to do in that house. You charge them for it.
Okay. So basically whatever comes in our mind for pain and suffering is fair
Yeah,
game.
it's 3 times the actual damages.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
So
Thank you so
whatever the
much.
amount that you were damaged times 3.
Wow. Okay.
And we do have attorneys that, well, they're not bar card carrying attorneys anymore because they learned our kind of stuff and they gave it back. We don't want to be a part of the cult no more, but we're going to take the information that we know and move
Right.
on to sovereignty. So we do have 2 legal minds that can help you with that. Also, the banker will be able to help you with that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We love you guys.
Well, we love you too. Yeah, I'm here because this is what God told me to do. He told me to help the people. He told me to stop being stingy with all this good knowledge that gets me out of everything. Like I have an American national passport right now, and my car is under US DOT. And it's also registered with the Secretary of State because it's on my property list. Well, that's where you register consumer goods, with the Secretary of State. But then you have to have some kind of identifying number that tells them, leave me alone. So my US DOT is a private motor carrier. That's not in their jurisdiction. They can't look me up. Maybe if it's the State Patrol, Highway Patrol, they can look me up because I'm under the same system as a big rig. But non-commercial, not for profit, not for hire, private motor carrier. State Patrol looked at my my temporary tag on my car maybe a month or 2 back. What was it? July, beginning of July. And then he saw me walking towards my car. Man, he got up away from and it was a State Patrol, it was a Highway Patrol. He got away from that car so doggone fast when he see me walking towards it. But that was the first opportunity that they had to run my number. And when they ran my number, of course, it comes up a private motor courier. So they knew they couldn't bother me because it's not used for commercial purposes. And that's in the record. And it's on my UCC as well. So there's many ways that you need to maneuver. One of the most important things that people miss. I say this, if you have a voter's registration right now, do me a favor, vote for Trump in November, and then as soon as he's in office, cancel your voter's registration and move yourself out of that nonsense. Because the voter's registration is you signing up to be the, what do you call it? Processing agent, right? So that means that they can make you do jury duty. You could be sent summons and tickets and complaints and all that stuff because you are the party who is responsible to take, you're the representative for that name. When you cancel your voter's registration, I mean, the DA might tell you something like they told me. The DA said, Well, you know, they can't even write you a traffic ticket no more. They can't make you come into court anymore unless we issue you a summons. And we don't summons for traffic tickets. Yeah, right. I've had motor vehicle look up, I rescinded my signature off of my state ID. And some cops pulled me over, they stole my ID out of my pocketbook and they ran it in their system and nothing came back. And they came over to me and they said, "Is this a fake ID?" I said, "Well, why would I have a fake ID? Do I look like I'm 16 trying to get in the club?" I said, "If I had a fake anything, it would be a fake driver's license, right?" They were like, "Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense." And I'm like, "Why are you asking me, is it fake?" "Well, when we slide it, we don't get anything back." "Why is that?" I said, "Because I'm charging you like $10,000 a minute right now. I told you the first 5 minutes was free. After that, we going on my fee schedule." I don't even know. Y'all owe me like 30,000 right now. just in this little piece of conversation. Right? And so after that incident, I called motor vehicle and I said, can you look up this number and tell me if it's a driver's license? Because they would always ticket me for driving while license suspended, but I never had a license in the state. So how can they suspend something I never had? Right? So I was trying to figure out that conundrum. So I call her and I ask her, can she look up this number and let me know if it's a license? And so she types it, I read it to her off my card. She types it in. She says, "No, it's not a license." I said, "Oh, what is it, an ID?" Because I knew it was an ID, right? She was like, "No, it's not an ID either." I said, "What you mean it's not an ID either? Then what is it?" She said, "It's an account." It's an account. So just by me rescinding my name off of that ID, it turned it back into the account that it originally was. And I'm pretty sure that there's funds in that account because they've stopped me so many times, impeded my liberty, beat me up at traffic stops, kidnapped me. I've been through a lot, right? Why I need the credits that's in that account? Now that I know it's an account.
Wow, yep, that is a lot. Now, I have another question in the chat that says, can you travel by air with the U.S. national passport? What are the downfalls to being a national abroad?
Okay, so you can travel by air if you have the passport book. The passport card is used for land and sea. But over, in flight, especially international, you have to have the book. Okay. A lot of things that people don't know about the passport. The passport is a bond. Passport is a bank account. It's an insurance bond. So when you travel, you're insured through your passport. Okay, there's also a bank account attached to it. It's called a passbook. So if you load your passbook account with some of your unlimited credits, then you shouldn't have any issues overseas. When you have an American national passport and you purchase your boarding pass with, you identify with your passport, and when you order your ticket, you put your passport information in. Usually when you're standing in line, at least if you have a 4-star like me, when you're standing in line and they're checking your tickets to see who's first class and board first and all that stuff, they'll usually go tell you, well, hey, you're standing in the wrong line. Go stand in that line over there. And you look over there and there's no doggone line. And you're like, okay. So you go over there to where there's no line and the agent pops up and checks your boarding pass and checks your ID, and then they just move you right into the plane quickly, smoothly. That passport has a certain level of diplomatic immunity. And they'll begin to recognize it. They will. Once it's in there, and the trick to keeping your American national status is stop doing business the same way. Be the secured party, don't be the straw man. Because if you continue to keep a license that you haven't rescinded the contracts on, or whatever the case may be, or your car's VIN number never gets moved out of DMV and pushed into, if they don't see you acting like a sovereign, they're gonna just turn your passport right back into a regular passport because you've commingled. You've smushed everything together like mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay,
And you have-
Stacy has another question. Go ahead, Stacy. Whenever you have a question, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask. That's fine.
Okay, we
Wait,
have,
wait, what's your name? What's Stacy's husband's name?
my name is Sean.
Sean, okay.
Hi, Sean.
Yeah. Hi.
So it's still SC for both of them, Stacy and Sean. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually SAC for both of us, our
Ooh.
initials.
Uh-oh, we
Yeah.
know who got the bag. There you
Yeah.
go.
So we have an electric bill. We used to grow medical marijuana, so we have electric bills from a long time ago up to a few years ago, and they're very large. They're a couple 100,000. And we would like to claim the accounts. Is that also a UCC one?
Okay, so with the UCC one, you should only do one UCC one. That is gonna
Yeah.
be the separation between your trust accounts and your flesh. Anything after that will be filed on a UCC 3, which is an amendment to the one. So it's like you add collateral, you give interest, you void something, you cancel contracts, right? You give only interest. It's several things that you can do when you need to do a 3. You can, like, I track all the court cases and the officers involved in the nonsense. Anytime I'm going to sue them or go to the city took my car for 30 days. I'm going to do an abatement for $150 million, and then I'm going to go give it to them and make them record it in their records. And you know what I mean? But it all initiates from what I deposit onto my UCC 3, right? So
Yep. Yep.
if you have a bill for these, for the electric, and you can A for V it.
Well, these are old accounts.
You still got the bills?
We have bills for some of it.
Okay, we'll take
Yes.
all of those bills and A for V them.
Okay.
Because if you've already paid that bill, then you're due a credit, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you do an A for V, all credits initiate from the Treasury, and they must return to the Treasury, right? So
Yep.
you go back and you get all the bills for the super high electric, and you discharge all of them. You flip the books on them, and if you maneuver under a foreign entity, like establish you another foreign entity that the secure party can be comfortable in, and then you just make sure you get the return. No discharge process is complete until you get a treasury check.
Okay.
For
So
what you spent.
so the electric bill account number, that is actually a bank account, correct?
Correct. And if you put that on your property or you put it on your real estate within the secured party documents in the second set, which is the bonds, right? The bonds and the negotiable instruments. So you get your master prom note, your master bond, which is like the first one establishing what this is. There's an offset and discharge bond that you can add all of those accounts to. And then you just give them notice that it's already, they are listed on your offset and discharge bond. Put together their little presentment, make sure they get their proper tax forms, Form 56 for their fiduciary to be able to handle trust business on this account. And then poof.
And when we do that, does that, do we get the private side and the public side of the account?
Yes, because you maneuver credits to balance out the discharge, but just you maneuvering those credits in commerce, you have to file your taxes and tell them that you moved those credits. That way you can get your return.
Okay, so here's another, so filing the taxes for that where we don't pay taxes, we're tax exempt.
You have to file your taxes. I didn't say pay taxes. I said file your
Oh
taxes.
wow. So okay, so there we go.
It's a big difference. You do it on a 1041 under a foreign entity. All you're doing is letting them know how many credits you put into commerce and that you want them credits back every year.
That's where we get paid double. That's where they say you get paid double. Okay. I hope people are learning on this conversation here. I
It's a
am.
good one.
Well, someone else is gonna ask a question. Hello out there.
I know, right?
No, this group's been pretty quiet, so Sean, you can go ahead and keep asking questions. We're on for another 20 minutes. So if
Okay,
anybody want to ask questions, anybody else, that's fine. But yeah, we have 20 minutes left, so go ahead.
okay, give us a minute here and we'll okay, so when we get a credit card denial and we try to litigate, what are how much can we harass them and how much can we tell them that we know? Because we know a lot of stuff about how corrupt they are and
You give them 21 days, they get 3 letters. That third letter is their due.
okay.
The way to win anything against them is to get them to acquiesce, which means to not say anything. Because if they acquiesce, that means that they agree with you and that there's no
Okay.
controversy.
Okay.
So when you do your presentments, you always will put like a stipulation that says, you either give me this information by this specified time, or the trust holds the rights to recoup their damages by any means necessary. That means you just, once they shut up, you can just decide, oh, I want to go into City Hall and gather a whole bunch of VIN numbers from the company cars out the parking lot. I'm gonna sell them on Craigslist. For real, until I'm made whole.
Did you have time to read the letter that we emailed that we sent to the credit card companies?
Ooh, I don't think, did you send it to Miss Tracy?
I think Stacy did. She sent it to the student folder.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
nothing
didn't
in,
see it. Because if it went to the student folder, I didn't see it. She would have had to send it directly to me.
yeah,
Okay.
if she goes in there and she uses the share button, right?
Yep.
That share button will allow you to say who has permission to see it, who has permission to edit it. And once you set that, it'll email it to us.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
We'll resend it tomorrow.
All right, that sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Flora, Carmine, did Tara, any of you three have any questions at all?
Not really. Just where do you go to find more information about the school?
I'll send you, I'll put the link to the school in the chat.
And what we're doing right now is, since we're coming to the end of summer, we're going into like our fall spread. So this is probably going to be the last registration that I do for the rest of this year. And the reason I do that is because I want to make sure that everybody gets through and gets down their path, well enough before I have to focus my attention on a new group. So we have about, I think, maybe like 20 something seats left out of the 30. Registration is going to close at the end of this month. But if you don't feel that you need to take the full course, you can always ask Miss Traci for consultation links. My consultations are $150 an hour. My faculties is $250 an hour. So like, and then like the legal people, they will write like court documents for you and stuff. He charges per document depending on what you need. If you need an in rem action, if you need, to do a lis pendens on something you're trying to foreclose and you have a mechanic's lien or whatever the case may be. He's a little different because his documents are super expensive, but they're custom, right? So he does a lot of legal documents. The banker does some mentoring as well, but it's a lot, to me, it's a lot better once you're in the school, because if we're talking and I know that the banker has the information that you're itching for, I'm going to schedule you to talk to him. Or I'm going to schedule you to talk to Dave. If you're in Secured Party and you need to, I don't know, add this house to your property list and you're trying to do thus and so with the house or whatever, right? Then I would schedule you with Dave. So a lot of the understanding of your direction on path is going to be in the conversations, right? If I need to help, get online with you and show you how to research or where to look to get, I don't know, judge's oath of office, or how do you look up a court case record, or how do you look up a land record? We can do things like that on consultation, but for a student that is enrolled, a lot of those conversations will end up being free because of it'll pertain to something in your course or in a study site that you're working on. So, there's a couple of different ways, but I always feel like the best is to do the annual enrollment so you don't have to feel rushed. A lot of people are rushed when they come in here, and it's like I said, it's like crock pot. You gotta slow down and let it simmer, right? It's like smoking some good meat, right? It's gonna take some time. So, I just wanna leave y'all with that thought, but there's more than one way, to work with us. And then when you're ready, just come on in here and we'll work out your profiles and, get you on your path.
I have something to add to that. We are barely part of the school yet. Like, just we're really fresh here, a couple of weeks, and we're really impressed and we're very happy. You guys have already helped us a lot, and we're not barely enrolled. But on another note, we study a lot. We study 16 hours a day, 4 of us. So we're moving very quickly. The school can help you a lot, but it all comes down to also yourself, the time you put into it, the heart, the blood, sweat, and tears. If you want it real bad, the school will help you as bad as you want it, but you have to want it. You got to work for it. When they give you information to do, you have to run with it, and you have to learn everything you got to learn. You got to do what you got to do. So doing all this and getting all this money put into your bank account and getting all your bills paid, it doesn't come free. It's a
Right.
lot of work, and you got to bust your hump to get it. You can't know nothing and expect to get everything. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So, um, But as you can see, just on this is a free video. Like, I mean, people aren't even enrolled and they're getting all this information. So
I know,
imagine
man.
being enrolled, you know, so, but on another note, I have another question.
Mhm.
Um, so to do with bankers, banking, when you get a loan, you have the promissory note that pays for it, but people don't know that. But another thing people don't know is that the bank actually gets a loan through the Federal Reserve attached to the treasury of your estate. And it's a loan of $1 million a year for 2 years in a row at $250,000 every 3 months.
That's what
Um,
FDIC covers.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So where we weren't aware of that, what is the best way? Like, I'm not friends with the CEO of the bank, but I know him, kind of well, pretty well enough that, he says hi to me and all that stuff when I go in and speaks with me and um used to. I haven't been there in a while, but what's the best way? Like I read a lot of Tom Schaff stuff. I study it a lot, the banking secrets books and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, where I know a lot of that is should I go talk to this banker and tell him what I know?
Mm-mm,
They, no.
mm-mm, no.
Okay.
That's gonna make it push you away.
Okay.
When it comes to approaching the bank, you have to use the words that they know.
Right.
And so if you just requested, do you have a securities transfer agent at this bank?
No, it's just I got 4 loans from them. Probably 3 years ago was the last one. But of course, they rebuilt the agreement twice. So my original agreement that I got the day that I actually deposited the check, redeposited the check. That agreement is different than the one they sent us the other day, and also the first agreement is different than the original agreement that I signed, right?
No, watch
S-
that. Yeah,
a-
see,
And so in our state, that's illegal. You can't rebuild a promissory note.
mhm.
So I got them in multiple
Thing is,
ways.
it may be the technique that it's like you're trying to force something private into something that's in the public. And they might
Right.
not do that for you. See, the reason, the only reason you need to use the bank is to make the transaction, to complete the transaction from the treasury. Okay, so it's called a securities transfer agent. Okay, that's the one that has the medallion stamp. That's the one that can give you your guarantee on your instrument. So when you approach them, you need to have the buzzwords that they understand in order for them to know that you have enough knowledge for them to proceed with you. Like our banker, when he goes to, like, okay, at the beginning of this year, I requested for him to perfect this bogus remedy that Chris Hauser has out on the internet. I'm not gonna say bogus, I'm gonna say convoluted, because it's a lot of stuff that's mishmash on that process, and that's why it doesn't work for a lot of people, right? So I
And
already,
puts them in prison.
I know, right? I know Jonah Bay did 1099. I know David Clarence did 1099. I know there were a couple people that would process 1099s, and they weren't all the same exact method either, right? So I asked the banker, well, can you, because I don't like that beneficiary signature. Beneficiary ain't got no authority to do anything except to get what they want. That's it. That's their job. They can't issue anything. They can't conditionally accept anything. They can't do none of that. They can't remittance anything, right? Because it's the wrong hat. And so the banker was like, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He's gonna get a lot of people in trouble and woo, woo, woo. And he's like, and are they doing this? And are they doing this? And are they doing this? And I'm like, I don't think so. And so he was like, okay, I'll perfect it. 21 days later, he had 5 things that everybody wants and a 6th thing that nobody even knew he could get. 21 days is the length of time it takes to process a 1099. If it takes more than 21 days, you did it wrong. Because you didn't print it out on bond paper. You didn't go to a securities transfer agent. You didn't get a guarantee. You didn't get a medallion stamp. And you didn't have them deposited in your treasury account, thus allowing the treasury account to grab those credits and send them back down to the bank so the bank can wire them for your house or wire them for your car or wire them for whatever you're trying to get. Because you can't use an A for V to purchase, but you can use a treasury transfer into your trust account and make it fly. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
So in reclaiming the $8 million that he hid from me over the course of like 10 years, is that how I go about?
We would have to get in more detail on the subject, but there's several ways. Like you don't always have to go to court to get stuff settled. You don't always have to go to court to get the judgment. You can go to the treasury. Do a treasury tort claim. The treasury is going to take the credits out of your account and they're going to give it to you to make you whole. But then guess who they get to go recoup them credits from? Mm-hmm. They're gonna go after them. Get that 8 million back. Because they have to replenish your account. Uh-oh, did he drop off?
They did. But,
Oh,
I
that's-
mean, just now though, just
Yeah.
now dropped off, yeah.
their folder might have,
And-
phone might have
yeah.
went dead.
And so it's just Tara, Carmine, and Laura left. But I'm assuming they ain't got no questions because they hadn't had any more since earlier. But it's basically time to get off anyhow. We got 7 minutes left. Guys, make sure you grab the link out of the chat if you want to check out the school. Just copy and paste that. And that's basically it, guys. Unless any 3 you have anything you want to say or anything like that, then we could just go ahead and jump off. And alrighty. Okay. Carmine dropped off, and Flora, I will see you at church. Wednesday night Bible study. And Tara, you come on out to Bible study if you want to. Come back to church on Sunday if you want. I will see y'all then, and we will go ahead and call it a night.
You guys have a great evening. Thank you for joining me.
All right, guys. Bye.